case studies, particularly how to address with the words which are most appropriate in ethics, and how to solve various important challenges in writing case studies. First thing, why last year students got less marks in ethics? The major reason is, till 2017 exam, most of the model answers given by various teachers promoted stakeholder approach. Who are the stakeholders in the case? Every student blindly started writing about stakeholders. For every case study, you should not follow stakeholder approach. First of all, after reading a case study, you have to understand and identify key word or key sentence in the case study. You have to identify or understand key word or key sentence in the case study. In fact, no sentence in the case study is given without a reason. That means no sentence given by the examiner in the script is of vain, means without any use. Every sentence is constructed in the case study to tell you a point, to make you to understand a point and to react on that point. They expect you that you should react on that point. This is the first thing. So, first thing, don't leave any keyword or any sentence in the case study unaddressed, because every sentence is meticulously framed to make you to think on that particular point and to write on that particular point. So, every sentence of case study is very, very important, and every keyword in the case study should be identified. Next important thing in the case study, they will give a character in the case study. For example, they will say you are an IPS officer. You means you are an IPS officer, that's all. Sometimes they will give you are a CEO of a private infotech company. So, you are a private person who is a CEO of a company. Or sometimes they will say you are a student writing the exam, your friend is copying. So, then you are a student. They will give you a character in most of the case studies. Or they will say Saraswati is your friend, she has come down from America. So, imagine that there is a woman called Saraswati really. In ethics case studies, they will generally give a character, and in most of the case studies, they will also tell you who you are. Okay, why they will give such a suggestion? The reason is, when you are a civil servant or when you are a government servant, you have a different way to act. When you are a private individual, you have a different way to act. For example, as a civil servant, when something is going wrong, immediately you are not expected to go to media. You are not expected to go to media. For example, you are a common man, you have seen child labor, you can immediately call media or NGO. Whereas as a civil servant, within the system, you are not expected to do that. In the same way, when there is a corruption in a public office, you are working in that office as a government servant, you are not expected to make a hue and cry, whistleblowing externally, but initially you are expected to go through proper channel. There is a word called through proper channel. There is a system. There is a system behind it. This is called through proper channel. So, first of all, you should know what are the major important words and who are you in the case, or who are the important persons in the case. And third important thing, in some case studies, they will ask you to suggest options. What are the various options available to you and what is the most appropriate option. So, when they ask you options, you should write all the options. In some case studies, they will give options A, B, C, D and tell you and they will ask you, kindly apply merits and demerits, kindly explain merits and demerits. So first of all, after reading case study, students should be focusing more and more. Students should be focusing more and more on the question part of the case study. I think you got it. For example, they will give you what are the competing values in the case study. Question number A, if they give you what are the competing values in the case study, you should be able to identify the competing values. Question number B, if they give you what is your conclusion in the case study, that you should be able to speak out. So, first of all, read the case study, identify the keywords and sentences, and no sentence in the case study is given without any use. First thing. Second thing, they will give you your character or somebody's character. You have to judge the character, whether he is a student, common man, private employee, government employee, or a common woman, or a scientist, private scientist or a government scientist, or SP, police, or a whistleblower. So, you should be able to know who is the character, whether he is obliged towards the government, loyalty towards the government, like a government servant should not disclose some facts, or he is a common man who can go to media, who can publish news, who can conduct seminars. So, these things you should understand first, and then you should go with the second part of the case study, that is what is the question in the case study. Question will be a question. Generally there won't be a single question in the case study. Address the following questions A, B, C. So, they will give you what exactly they want from you. This you have to identify. So, unless these three things should be, unless you focus on these three things, you cannot write a proper answer in the case study. So, this is how first you have to initially prepare for the case study. And next is, what should be the content of the case study? This is the questioning, how to understand the question. Next is, what should be the content of the answer of the case study? See, we will think that generally I have read many case studies answers. You write normal answers, but in ethics case studies, you are expected to use certain important terminology or jargon specific for ethics. For example, one should not behave in such a way as a government servant. You want to write this word. For example, a government servant wore a t-shirt and cooling glasses, sunglasses, went to Prime Minister. You want to condemn that. So, the word which you use is very, very important. It is unbecoming of a civil servant. This is a word which you have to use. It is unbecoming of a government servant. It is unbecoming of a civil servant. For example, you are living in a particular area where there is low moral values. You want to express that. You should use there is moral deficit. There is moral deficit. Or when you want to express there is no trust deficit. Or when you want to express there is no democratic values, democracy deficit. Or when you want to tell a civil servant need lot of patience, you should use the word perseverance. You should use the word perseverance. Or when you want to express a civil servant should have commitment to the duty, you should use the word integrity. Or when you want to say a civil servant should have the efficiency, you should use the word competence. Or when you want to say a civil servant should have strong character, you should use the word character competence. Okay, in most of the case studies, this is a major problem where you use regular words instead of specific words which are meant for ethics. For example, indifference. A civil servant is there and a old man is dying without food. He observed the problem but he is not giving pension. You want to use the word indifferent attitude. So, you should use the word apathetic attitude. APATHETIC, apathetic attitude. Or you want to say overwhelming with the problem, sympathy. You should use the word sympathy. In the same way, nepotism, favoritism. And you want to say bureaucracy is not working well. You can use the word bureaucratic inertia, lackluster attitude of bureaucracy. Lackluster attitude of bureaucracy or bureaucratic inertia. or there is no moral values in the particular system. There is some, for example, 2 days back, a 9 months old baby got raped and got killed in Hankonda. It reflects moral turpitude in the society. It reflects moral turpitude in the society. In the same way, a person with strong willpower, a person with rectitude, fortitude, you can use the word fortitude, better word, F-O-R-T-I-T-U-D-E. Or if you want to use the word, I am a senior officer, I want to warn my junior officer. You should not use the word warn. You should use the word I want to admonish. Admonish, A-D-M-O-N-I-S-H. I want to admonish. I need to admonish him. Or more polished word, when he is not working well, I want to give performance counseling to him. I want to give performance counseling to him. In the same way, for example, you want to write X is trying to do against the country. You should use the word treason, T-R-E-A-S-O-N, treason. Or X is speaking against the country or waging war against the country, sedition. So there are specific words. For example, you want to use man have come to work after having alcohol, inebriated situation. You want to explain that. You should tell it's a bad work culture. It's a bad work culture. Or you want to say the work infrastructure is not good. You want to ergonomics. The word is ergonomics. So there are various words in ethics specific for ethics. So better to use such important words. For example, you want to use that government servant should be honest. Who enters into government service should be very, very honest. You can use a man should have honesty of purpose of what he is doing. Honesty of purpose. Intellectual integrity. Intellectual integrity. In the same way, you want to express that a government servant is negligent. A government servant is negligent. You can use the word, say, misfeasance. It reflects his misfeasance. There are 3 words: malfeasance, nonfeasance, misfeasance. Okay, malfeasance means taking money and giving a wrong thing or doing something with a bad intention. That's called malfeasance. Nonfeasance means not doing your work properly. Misfeasance means neglect in doing work. Nonfeasance means not doing work at all. Misfeasance means neglecting. Malfeasance means it is something like doing with bad intention or doing with very bad. For example, 2G spectrum entire episode shows the malfeasance on the part of telecom ministry. You should use the word malfeasance. You should not use the word nonfeasance because here there is an allegation of corruption. So malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance. In the same way in ethics, for example, you can use the word say frugality or economy, prudency or work ethics or say integrity should be a routine expectation. There are some words. Integrity should be a routine expectation. Ignorance of law is no excuse. Ignorance of law is no excuse. Or a civil servant should not be biased towards politics. You should not use such a big word. Apolitical nature of civil services. Or a civil servant should be apolitical. So these are the words which you should repeatedly mug up, repeatedly use. For example, a civil servant should always be balanced in thoughts. You should use the word equanimity. In certain cases, a civil servant should be able to excuse small mistakes, magnanimity. In certain cases, a civil servant need to excuse small mistakes. You should use the word magnanimity. And in the same way, there are various important words in even certain in the ancient texts in India, which you can use in ethics. For example, see Aristotle, a great thinker, have given a concept called golden mean. Golden mean means balance. According to the situation, a civil servant should maintain balance. This is called golden mean, MEAN. You should follow Aristotle's golden mean concept, or see Gandhi's means and ends concept. Mahatma Gandhi said means are more important than the ends. So whenever a case study is given with respect to Naxalism, with respect to corruption, X is a very good boy, but for his mother's operation, X have robbed the money from somebody. If such case study is given, so you should use the word means are more important than the ends. The path you follow is more important than the end you want to achieve. In the same way, 3-4 years back there is a case study saying that there is a soldier, there is a big attack on India, for example say from Pakistan. Unless you backbite your enemy, you are not going to win over the war. If you don't backbite your enemy, if you don't backstab your enemy might destroy your country. Here on the one side backstabbing, on the other side your country's interest. So then you have to write Machiavelli. There is a very famous thinker called Machiavelli. He said, if the interest of your motherland is at stake, if the interest of your motherland is at stake, there is no such thing called good or bad, right or wrong, just or unjust. There is no such thing called good or bad, right or wrong, just or unjust. You can follow any course of action that will further the interest of your nation. You can follow any course of action that will further the interest of your nation. So there are certain important quotes and ideas of various thinkers. Say for example, you are an army officer, you went for a war, or you are a police officer, you went to contain some communal harmony, communal tension and establish communal harmony. Your boss ordered you to shoot, you have to shoot. This is called categorical imperative by Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant, categorical imperative, unconditional directives. There are certain unconditional directives which you should follow without any deviation. There are certain unconditional directives which you are expected to follow without any deviation. These are called categorical imperatives. Okay, in ethics you are expected to use all these things. You are expected to use all these, I can say, snippets. They are very, very important. If you write similar words like 200, similar sentences, if you make a small note of 20 pages, you can master and top ethics answer book. In fact, I enjoy the joy of writing ethics answer sheet when I am writing my exam. It's joy to write ethics answer rather than an exam if you prepare from now. You will really enjoy writing ethics answers and case studies. If you have very good preparation and writing practice in ethics, you will really top the exam. The only thing is you are expected to master certain words, certain quotes, certain ideas. That's most important thing. That will not come overnight, it takes some time, but a 20-30 pages of prior preparation of small words, terminology, quotes and even diagrams, even small diagrams. I will tell you how, not only in case studies but also in answers. So whenever you are writing an answer on good governance or a case study on effective governance something, so you have to write good governance, a small egg shape, and then you should put arrows to it, say responsible, transparent, efficient, effective, accountable, inclusive, all these things you can write. Or you want to write, say for example, you are writing an answer on attitude. There is a KATZ, ABC diagram, KATZ, ABC model, effective, cognitive, behavioral, ABC, KATZ. A psychologist have given a diagram, triangle. So every attitude will have effective part, cognitive part and behavioral part. Effective part, cognitive part and behavioral part. Cognitive means belief system, effective means emotions, behavior means action. Cognitive means belief, effective means our emotions and behavioral means our action part. KATZ ABC model diagram, KATZ. In the same way, you are writing some answer on emotional intelligence. You can say emotional intelligence, social skill, social inclusion, people skill, people inclusion. Like that you can draw a small diagram. In the same way, you are writing about code of conduct or moral values in human life. You can write a diagram like truth, trustworthiness. You can show with pictures. Those pictures are possible only when you practice and go. From now you have to prepare small pictures for every ethics answer. You try to make it a pictorial representation, so you can present in a better way. Even that can be done. But unfortunately, I have seen even ethics mock answer sheets where every intelligent student is writing stakeholders, subheading stakeholder 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a bad way of writing, addressing each and every answer in the same way. It's really bad. For every answer, for every case study, don't take stakeholders approach. So one or two you can take. For every answer, don't do that. Okay. So now I'll take one case study. I'll explain you how to, if the same question was given to me, how I'm going to do with that. Say, take (2018) last year case study. Rakesh is a responsible district level officer. I am reading 2018 question paper case study, question number 7. I am reading it out first. Rakesh is a responsible district level officer who enjoys the trust of his higher officials. Knowing his honesty, the government entrusted him with the responsibility of identifying the beneficiaries under a healthcare scheme meant for senior citizens. See, I told you each and every word in the case study is very, very crucial. They gave a character called Rakesh, very honest. So they said Rakesh, so they have given a tag to Rakesh. Rakesh is a honest and he enjoys trust with the other officials. Recognizing his honesty, knowing his honesty, the government entrusted him some responsibility, that is called responsibility of identifying the beneficiaries under a healthcare scheme meant for senior citizens. And government also gave criteria to him. They should have the age of 60 years and above. They should belong to reserved category. And their family income should be less than 1 lakh per annum. Their family income should be less than 1 lakh per annum. And most important point is post-treatment prognosis. Ante, that means after the treatment is over, the old person should have better quality of life. For example, even after if it is deadly cancer, only after treatment if he gets 1 or 2 months relief, then such type of cases should not be encouraged. So first of all 60 years and above, second is reserved category, and third is their annual income should be less than 1 lakh per annum, and post treatment prognosis to be very high so that a positive difference in their quality of life. And this is Rakesh and Rakesh work. Now Rakesh responsibility, not just work. One day an old couple visited Rakesh office with their application. Old couple visited Rakesh office with their application. They have been the residents of a village in his district since their birth. They are living in a village in his district where Rakesh is working since their birth. Since their birth. Even this word is very important. Since their birth, they are living in a village. The old man is diagnosed with a rare condition that causes obstruction in the large intestine. The old man has a problem, rare problem, which causes obstruction in a large intestine. As a consequence, he has severe abdominal pain. He has severe abdominal pain, and frequently that prevents him from doing any physical labor. The couple have no children. This is also a very important point. The couple have no children to support them. The expert surgeon whom they contacted is willing to do surgery free of cost, but the couple have to bear medical expenses, transportation, hospitalization, etc. to the tune of 1 lakh. The couple fulfills all the criteria except the criteria B. B is reserved category. They are not reserved category. The couple fulfills all the criteria except criteria B. However, any financial aid any financial aid would certainly make a significant difference in their quality of life. Any financial aid would certainly make a significant difference in their quality of life. How should Rakesh respond to the situation? Only a single question. How should Rakesh respond to the situation? 250 words, 20 marks. Okay. Denying a genuine claim for a reason is an irresponsible behavior. Rules are made definitely to be followed, but when there is some genuine case, in that case if there is some deviation, how an officer should think of. This is the one thing, first thing. First of all, Rakesh should find out any precedents with his seniors and colleagues regarding such an exemption. Can he have any discretion to provide an exemption for their treatment? In that process, he can make a detailed report of the case and he can send it to the government or sanctioning authority or appropriate authority for their perusal of the case through proper channel. As he is a government servant, through proper channel. First. Second thing, try to get all the details about the old couple, and also try to get the detailed medical report and send it to the government for the consideration. Meanwhile, second thing, he should, if it gets delayed or takes a lot of time, he can ask the nearby NGOs or some important functionaries who are working under various welfare schemes, whether they are entitled for any other insurance or welfare scheme, or whether he can have any alternative, whether he can plan for any alternative process. And third important thing, there are two things which a government servant has to think. For example, when you are in charge of a welfare scheme, extreme delay might be fatal to the beneficiary. Extreme delay might be fatal to the beneficiary. So, in this case, you can ensure that the government, you can talk with the officials, if necessary you take the appointment of the requisite authority, might be minister in this case, try to make a special request for them, because delay is fatal sometimes. And he can also consult the NGO, if at all it is delayed, nearby NGO which is working for this type of old couple, and you can contact for funds temporarily. And in the answer sheet never write, if nobody helps I am going to help. If nobody helps I am going to help. If really it might be a chance that you can really help, but if you write like that, examiner will think that you are boosting yourself. Sometimes we help, but don't write like that. Okay, and also right now there are various schemes, and if in the case study it was mentioned that no scheme is available or no content is available, then you can write to the government or you can give a special permission in that perspective. And more importantly, here the quality of life is improving, and also they have all other criteria except the reservation criteria. Immediately you cannot flout with the rules. Though law is made for the people, for the justice of the people, you are not expected to do it, because if similar cases, a civil servant should think that if you give exemption in one case, immediately hundreds of cases will pour in. So suddenly you cannot take law into your hands, suddenly you cannot flout with the rule. That is really important. You can say, I will give money to them, then I will take permission from the government. If similar cases come every day, what will you do? So this is how you have to think in the particular case study. So in this particular case study, you should write, honesty is very important. At the same time, law is meant to deliver justice. Law is meant for welfare of all. When the case is genuine, repudiating the case is not correct. At the same time, taking immediate action without taking the orders of the government ends with the flouting of the rules. So you are expected to take a call, and immediately you are expected to take a case study on that, complete report on that, and you are expected to deliver the justice to the couple. This was the viable solution for the case study. Okay. Next, anything you want to add for this? Those who wrote?
You can keep on going, you can keep on writing these steps. But we need to fill up 250 words. And we need to drag it to like 3 pages answer. How should we explain?
You want to write it with 250 words. You take down. For one answer, you can take a dictation, no problem, Rahul. Okay. As a government servant, first let me dictate, then you can ask down. You want to add? That's what I told, alternative schemes. As a government servant, Rakesh is expected to follow the rules and promote the welfare of the people. Denial of a claim which is genuine for want of a condition to be fulfilled, is inhuman, particularly in a welfare scheme. Full stop. At the same time, flouting with the rules might create unnecessary complications and might question the integrity and honesty of Rakesh, who developed loyalty and trustworthiness in the performance of his duties. Next para. The old couple are residing in a village since their birth. Full stop. As a district level officer, Rakesh might collect all the necessary documents from the village authorities to prove the genuinity of the case, and he can prepare a detailed report on their eligibility criteria, mentioning the deviation under criteria B. Full stop. Next para. Rakesh should also elicit ELICIT. Rakesh should also elicit the detailed report from the doctor relating to the quality of life which the old man is going to get after the surgery. Next point. Considering all the reports, Rakesh can send this case for a special sanction to the appropriate authority. Mentioning the immediate response in the case, in brackets, through proper channel, brackets closed. Next para. Justice delayed is nothing but justice denied, particularly in case of health and life. Justice delayed is nothing but justice denied, particularly in the case of health and life. Full stop. So Rakesh can immediately consult experienced seniors. And colleagues in the case, and take their valuable suggestions about the alternative course of action, available in the present situation, about the alternative course of action available in the present situation. Full stop. Next point. Rakesh can also work on precedents, precedents. Precedents means previous examples. Precedents related to the case. Next point. Meanwhile, Rakesh can also verify whether the old couple are entitled in any alternative schemes or measures as beneficiaries. If no course of action, next point, if no course of action is immediately possible, Rakesh at the personal level can approach various foundations or NGOs and request them to provide relief for the old couple. Next para. Want of a criteria to be fulfilled for a genuine reason. That too with respect to poor old couple cannot become a hurdle for their medical treatment. In fact, sitting on the same criteria, emphasizing on the same criteria and rejecting the claim is absurd. ABSURD is absurd. Full stop. Rakesh should follow up their claim till they get necessary benefit by exploring all the legal means. This is the format. Okay, ఇప్పుడు దీన్ని కౌంట్ చేయండి. ఎన్ని వర్డ్స్ వచ్చినాయి చూద్దాం. అప్రాక్సిమేట్ వద్దులే, కౌంట్ చేయండి. ఓకే, అర్థమైందా? ఇంకొక ఇయర్లో ఒక కేసు స్టడీ చూద్దాం. The year case studies 2013. Okay, we will take a case study initial year where ethics exam started. Before going into this case study, I wish to tell you how case studies are framed and what type of examples you are expected to go with. This year, what type of case studies we can expect? If you could remember 2018 ethics case studies, 2018 ethics case studies, they have given a case study on Edward Snowden. They have given a case study on Tuticorin Sterlite Copper Corporation issue. So, never think that case studies will come from the sky. They will come from the entire atmosphere or the entire systems from which we actually should take examples. I'll tell you one small 2-3 important issues. 4 years back in Bihar, school children died after eating food in midday meal scheme. 4 years back in Bihar, school children died after eating food in midday meal scheme. Say they can take a case study on this, saying that you are a district collector in Bihar, working in Bihar. Midday meal scheme program was started by the government with the ambitious intention of making the children to attend the school regularly, so that not only their education but also their nutrition levels will also be taken care. But unfortunately, the same food which was given by the government have become poisonous and children died. As a district collector, what course of action is available to you? Who is responsible for this? This is the case study. So, from the incidents which we observe every day we can take a case study. I'll give one more case study. The case study is, you are working as a district collector in Uttarakhand, where the area is prone to all sorts of disasters. As you all know, 3-4 years back, we have floods, landslides coming together, flash floods and landslides in Uttarakhand. The same year in ethics, there is a case study almost on the same grounds. Okay, so you can take that. We expected that, in fact. In the same way, there is an author called Sanjay Baru. He wrote a book called Manmohan Singh, the Accidental Prime Minister, The Making and Unmaking of Manmohan Singh. So from that I can take a case study for you. You are an officer, civil servant, working in PM Secretariat. You got to know confidential information about how PM functions and his Secretariat functions. When you are working, you have not revealed anything. After getting retired, you wrote a book on that, telling that it is our moral responsibility to reveal everything. Telling that you have a moral obligation. What are the conflicting values in the case? And if you are the officer in charge of investigation committee, will you find this officer guilty of doing against the country or not? Against the national interest or not? This is a question from simple example of a small book. Okay, in the same way, the recent episode from last 1 week, there is an issue of acute encephalitis syndrome. More than 124 children died in Muzaffarpur in Bihar, the district prone to this, and the district is very backward. The district is very backward, and there are many poor children where the parents work in lychee plantations, and the children without food in the evenings eat lychee fruit, and in fact they are dying. What are the socio-economic conditions in the area? In what way are going to solve this problem? In the same way, 2018 case study, one more case study, there was a prohibition in a state, and where the prohibition was implemented, there was illicit liquor, mafia, nexus between politicians, bureaucrats and mafia, and you are posted as an IPS officer and you are trying to solve the issue as a law and order problem where people are dying after taking illicit liquor. Actually, half of the case studies are from our society, which we observe every day. And I'll tell you a simple case study. 2 years back, 1.5 years back, the Karnataka government made Good Samaritans law. Even the Supreme Court spoke about Good Samaritans. Good Samaritan. The question is, you are going to UPSC interview, you have crossed prelims and mains, and you are going to the interview. Suddenly you have seen a very big accident where one mother and daughter met with fatal injuries, and nobody is there to help them, and whether you will stop and help them or whether you will go to the interview. So these type of things mostly come from society, where you are expected to be very, very practical, positive and not too idealistic at the same time. For example, if you have a phone, if you have an ambulance, and if you can call some other relatives immediately to attend them, you can attend even interview. Rather than saying, no, for me the people are very important. So now I will tell you a small case study which we can see from the surroundings and how you can answer the case study. As you all know, animal rights and animal activism is very, very crucial issue nowadays. Today also there is an article saying that the Assam, the Guwahati government gave permission to transport 4 elephants to Ahmedabad for Radha Yatra and Wildlife Act, and 2 elephants from that are they were taken in wild and domesticated without proper permissions. The case is going on. So when this issue is going on, this type of wildlife activism, there can be a question which I have read 3 years back as a news article in the newspaper. This year you may get the similar question. So I will give you a small thing so that I will give you similar examples also from that. You are an IPS officer. You are posted in a district as an SP. And you are called for a marriage of local MLA who is very rich and very strong. Very strong. And then what happened? The MLA, as he was very rich, he arranged a flamboyant reception for his daughter's wedding, in that where all prohibited species were there for food, like peacock, rabbit, all those things. After seeing with placards all those things, he felt really bad how he could get that illegally. As a IPS officer, what are the options available to you and how you are going to deal with the situation? So as it is a marriage, will you sit, eat and come back? As it is a marriage, already wild animals died, you won't disturb the marriage and come back. So there are various options. As it is a marriage, you go and bless them. At the same time, you call the MLA and the necessary people there and ask them where from they got it. Immediately you call the testing labs and collect sanctions and collect the samples of it. And also should write about Wildlife Protection Act. Should also write about how to endanger species, what are the various species, in what schedules each species are available now. And more importantly, should also call Animal Welfare Board officers nearby, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau and responsible forest officers, immediately conduct a meeting. And also call the MLA without disturbing the marriage and tell him that what he has done is legally wrong. You should not be silent in this case. And you should also write a quote. A man's heart can be better seen in how he is dealing with other living creatures. And you should also write about fundamental duty to have compassion over living creatures. And you should also write about 48A, Directive Principle, to protect forests, wildlife. And you should also write about Article 21, where You are expected to protect environment and also biodiversity. And as an MLA who is very responsible to the people, you should not have done that. So these type of case studies from our society will directly come in the paper. You know, these case studies will be given to you to test your character. When some injustice is going on, will you keep quiet or will you question it? If you keep quiet, for example, you went to your friend's house for dinner. Your friend employed a child labor. Will you keep quiet? Or you went to your friend's sister's wedding where the bridegroom is asking for dowry. Will you keep quiet? Okay. Or you are in office as an IAS officer. Suddenly you have seen your clerk taking bribe with evidence. You are not taking. You are really honest. Will you be tolerating him, ignoring him, though he is taking corruption? So ethics case study, one case study will be given to you like this to test your character. One case study was given in 2013. It tells us you and Mr. A are very, very good friends. In fact, A helped you from childhood and used to eat together, he used to help you a lot. On the day of final exams, you have seen A copying. What will you do? What will you do? Because A is your friend. Same question. So, question format will change, but here they are testing your character. Whether some injustice is going on, if it is done by your friend or powerful person or a relative, will you question it or keep quiet, thinking that I have not done anything? As you should start this type of case studies with a quotation. Quotation given by Immanuel Kant. A man is liable to compensate for an injury. A man is liable to compensate for an injury not only caused through his action but also through his inaction. I am repeating, a man is liable to compensate for an injury. A man is liable to compensate for an injury not only caused through his action but also through his inaction. So when some wrong is going on, if you don't question it, still you are liable. When some illegal thing or immoral thing or blunder is going on, if you don't question it, if you keep quiet, still you are responsible for that. You cannot say, you cannot justify yourself that I am not responsible for this. As a responsible civil servant, government expects this from you. That is the reason why this type of case studies will be given to you to test your character. Then you have to write about Immanuel Kant, this case study, this particular quote. Then you have to write about Gandhi's means and ends concept. Means and ends corruption. For example, your clerk is taking corruption and he told, sir, I have taken corruption not because I am greedy but I want to get my daughter married. So the end is daughter's marriage but the means are improper. So now one more case study. See, you are a IAS officer. You are an IAS officer. You are a lady IAS officer. From childhood, you are very poor. You have come from a very modest background. And you worked in NGO also. Seriously to do something to the society, you wrote civils exam and passed the exam. One day, you are invited to inaugurate an NGO building. When you went there is a man sitting there. The NGO people have introduced him saying that the man donated more than 10 lakhs to construct the building. Really you felt happy that such kind-hearted people are there even today in today's world. And the man also introduced himself to you. He does philanthropy and also business. And the man told that he has many new ideas and projects to discuss with you. He took your appointment and have come to you next day. He took your appointment and have come to you next day. You are an IAS officer and a lady. He told that he discussed many things about his future business plans and also philanthropy plans. And finally he told, Madam, I came to know that your sister's marriage is fast approaching and you are running short of money. Consider me as your brother and take this jewelry, and kept the jewelry and started leaving your office. As a honest and sincere IAS officer, how you are going to deal with the case? He told, don't consider that this as any special thing. This is regular gift to you. Considering you as my sister and your sister as my sister, I am giving this for her marriage, accept this. First of all, it comes under unjust enrichment. Accepting costly gifts from strangers morally comes under unjust enrichment. This word you should use. Second thing, there are no free lunches in the world. There are no free lunches in the world. Nothing comes freely. If a man gives something to you today, even after 10 years he will come and put you under some obligation. And most importantly, if your colleagues and seniors come to know about this, how they think about you and what legacy you are leaving for them, what presidential value they carry from this example, slowly this amount to corruption. And as a civil servant, according to CCS rules, you are not expected to accept costly gifts and presents from strangers, and it comes under, if not direct bribe, it comes under accepting gifts from stranger. And more importantly, you will throughout, as a honest officer, if you accept that, throughout your life you carry a self guilt in your heart, thinking that you accept something freely from others, and slowly it may end up in corruption. So for all these reasons, you are expected to call him back and return him and tell him he should not do that. And also, first thing, if he is so philanthropic, he can give it to some NGO or something, but not to an IAS officer like you. And also tell him that not to repeat the same. And if you are going to celebrate your sister's marriage, it can be from your income or from different source which comes legally, but not from the strangers. This should be the answer to the case study. So here, unjust enrichment, means and ends concept, self-guilt, all these things, and he may put you undue influence, undue pressure. After some years or some days, he can come with asking for some favor. All these things you should add, and also add CCS rules for this, Code of Conduct for Civil Services. CCS rules also you should add, and these are the words which you should use while writing this answer. Okay, so there are various case studies which we can observe from the society. Coming to, I'll tell you one more case study. You are heading, I think this is from 2013, this year 2013 case study. Case study number 12, 2013 case study number 12, leading technical institute in the country. The institute, it is not government, leading technical, like National Institute for Fashion Technology, or tell me one leading technical institute. Okay, TIS, Tata Institute of Social Studies, even that. You are heading a leading technical institute of the country. The institute is planning to convene an interview panel shortly under your chairmanship for selecting the post of professor. So you are going to head an interview panel for selecting professor in our institute. A few days before the interview, you get a call from the PS. A few days before the interview, you get a call from the personal secretary of a senior government functionary seeking your intervention in favor of the selection of a close relative of the functionary for this post. So you are going to be a chairman for the interview board to conduct interview for the professor post of a leading technical institute in the country. Few days before the interview, you got a phone call from a high level government officer's PS, and the PS told the high level government functionary, he might be a minister or officer, his relative is coming to the interview, close relative, kindly select him for the post. And he also told a file for funds, a long pending file for granting of funds for the institute is pending before the ministry for this function, before this functionary, and if you go post to his relative, the minister, that is the functionary, minister or bureaucrat, will clear the file. So you will get lot of funds, and if these funds are available to you, you can modernize your institute. You can modernize your institute. Now, what are the options available to you? In the question they have given first part, what are the options available to you? And the second part, evaluate each of the options. Evaluate each of the options and choose the option which you would adopt, give reasons. So, you should write options and evaluation of each options and choose the option which you are going to lose. Now, I will tell you the content for this total thing. See, not only funds for any institute, the quality of teacher is also important. The quality of human resource is also important. So, funds, if you consider it as 50%, the quality part is also very important. First thing. Second thing, justice should not only be done, but manifestably and undoubtedly seems to be done. That means, though the candidate is very meritorious, if you sit and select him, tomorrow there might be some allegation on you that you have selected him because he is the minister's relative or somebody else. The third thing, the man, the relative, the person who is applying for professor's post already used some influence on you. Tomorrow if you select him as a professor, what is the guarantee that he cannot repeat the same in various things, in various formats? And most importantly, if you mellow down on one issue just to get some benefit from the government, tomorrow you have to entertain some other obligations like this. For all these reasons, there are various options available to you. Option number 1, let all the students, let all the aspirants come, ignoring the minister's request, everything. Select the candidate on merit, first option. Whether he is a minister's relative or not, leave it. You conduct the interview, select on merit, first option. So that ensures that you are completely unbiased and selected without compromising the quality of the person, so that the students will get the best teacher. The negative side of it is the funds will be stopped for you. You have to compromise with the modernization. Second option is select the candidate, because candidate is a one single professor post, but modernization funding is very, very important for the organization. The merit is you can modernize the institute, so you will get very good reputation. But the negative side is you are compromising with the basic character of the institute, that is integrity and merit. You are compromising with the basic character of the institute, that is integrity and merit. And third option available to you is outrightly you tell you are not going to entertain such requests. Even that is fatal to you, negative side. Positive side, next time such type of things will not be repeated from that functionary, or if somebody else knows that, they will also not repeat. Understanding the character of your organization, and if you ensure the quality of the product, definitely one day your organization go well. You need not require government funds, because the quality of input and quality of output is very important rather than funds for the organization. And here the foundational values of any organization should be based on value system rather than nepotism or favoritism. The foundational values of every organization should be based on proper value system. If you want to run your organization in the long run, it should have values as foundation, not nepotism, favoritism or temporary benefits or temporary outcomes. You need to, if you want to be in long standing as a very qualitative institute, if you want to survive as a very qualitative institute, first thing. Second thing, if you mellow down and give this posting, definitely in each and every case you will get same type of influence. sometimes even threatenings. All these things should be very strong. Character, not only individual character, even organization will have a culture and character. That is really important rather than this. And just based on this person, if you select this person might corrupt and contaminate the entire system. Such type of persons who come in the loop line, in that back, from the back door might definitely affect the organization's interest. Even from considering all these things, you are expected to ensure merit and efficiency, not shortcuts, nepotism or favoritism. This is the solution. Okay, see, most of us write in the same way, but the wording is very important. The sentence formation, the way you conclude, the examples which you give, ends and means concept, efficiency, character competence, apolitical nature of organization, autonomy of the organization, not compromising with the values of the organization, favoritism in the organization. If you allow one favoritism, some other person might bring some other obligation tomorrow. So this type of vicious circle will be formed. These type of words and jargons are very, very important to note it down and write it down. Okay, understood? So we will discuss one more case study. I'll take a case study from other paper from 2016 exam. 2016, a fresh engineering graduate gets a job in a prestigious chemical industry. A fresh engineering graduate gets a job in a prestigious chemical industry. She likes the work. The salary is also good. However, after few months, she accidentally discovers that a highly toxic waste is being secretly discharged into a river nearby. A highly toxic waste is being secretly discharged into a river nearby. This is causing health problems to the villagers downstream who depend on the river for their water needs. She is perturbed. Perturbed means disturbed, and mentions her concern to her colleagues who have been with the company for longer periods. They advised her to keep quiet, as anyone who mentions the topic is summarily dismissed. She cannot risk losing her job, as she is the sole breadwinner of her family and has to support her ailing parents and siblings. She has to support her ailing parents and siblings. At first, she thinks that if her seniors are keeping quiet, why should she stick out her neck? But her conscience pricks her to do something to save the river and people who depend on it. See, there are the two key things here: to save the river and people who depend on it. At heart, she feels that advice of silence given by her friends. At heart, she feels that advice of silence given by her friends is not correct, though she cannot give reasons for it. She thinks you are a wise person. She thinks that you are a wise person and seeks your advice. A. What arguments can you advance to show her that keeping quiet is not morally right? B. What course of action would you advise her to adopt and why? 250 words. Okay. See, there is a fresh engineering graduate working in a chemical company. Good job, good salary, and she is a sole breadwinner. She accidentally discovers that the company is releasing chemicals into the nearby river, which is causing health problems to the people thereby, and even river water is getting contaminated. When she told the same thing to the colleague, the colleagues told to keep quiet, because whoever questions that, they will be summarily dismissed. So in this case, you are her friend. Directly they have given a question: what arguments can you advance to show her that keeping quiet is not morally right? This is 100 words, minimum 100 words you should write. What arguments can you advance to show her that keeping quiet is not right? As I told you 10 minutes back, Immanuel Kant, if some gross injustice is going on, not only through your action but also through your inaction, You are responsible for your inaction for the injury caused. So when you know that something injustice is going on, if you don't question it, you are also responsible for this. Number one. Number two, if nobody questions it, it affects right to life and liberty of individuals, Article 21. Number three, not only individual's life but also flora and fauna. And more importantly, it affects the environment and contaminates the water there, and what we need is sustainable development. And you can lose a job, but your honesty and dedication as a upright person will definitely fetch you better lifestyle in future. You need not bother about that. Temporarily you may get some hiccups, but still you are going to do that. And more importantly here, there are 2-3 valid points which you should argue. An organization which do not follow values is not fit to work. If you are working in an organization which do not follow values, definitely it is not only fatal to your organization but also to your career in future. Number two, keeping silence when injustice is going on is against principles of natural justice. You should have, when something wrong is going on, if you keep quiet, definitely throughout your life you carry that guilt, and against even hurting the other people, their life, it is definitely fatal to them. And next important point here, if a woman, a fresh engineer like you, if you are not accepting the challenge in life, that means you are compromising with the values in our life. That should not be the case. So when some injustice is going on, you have to question it. So protecting the environment, first thing. Second thing, definitely temporarily you may get some disturbance, you will get a job. Third thing, even if you question, they might dismiss you, no problem. Inform them and question it. And more importantly, you should not only focus on life, on health, but also environment here. So these are the things, and there will be some like-minded people in the organization who are not coming out with fear. You can also motivate them so that you can lead the movement. This is the first paragraph of the answer. Next paragraph should be, first thing, you are a private employee, you are not a government employee. Immediately you can write the nearby pollution control board, nearby district, the same district collector. You can copy it to the environment ministry about the mischief going on, first thing. Second thing, you can call the media and ask the media to project this case in the statewide or local media. And more importantly, you can collect the samples of water and can really test how fatal it is to drink the water, and how fatal it is, how injurious it is for the health and vicinity of the health and people who are living there, like not only people but also flora and fauna. And next thing is, as a private individual, you can also take the help of NGOs working in the environmental field in the area. But just seeing your personal interest, if you don't come out of comfort zone, definitely it reflects your moral deficit. So you are expected to come out and do something. And you can use Gandhi's quote, earth can satisfy everyone's need but not everyone's greed. You can end up like this. Okay. So in this way you can manage. If you prepare for 50-60 case studies, 2-3 case studies every day, or just think it over. You need not write also. Every day one case study if you write enough, 2-3 case studies models if you think it over, it will be a very good exercise for your brain. If you don't think now and directly go to the exam, then it will be a problem. Keep thinking. I will be giving tips to you. Okay. Again.